today a new chapter will be introduced, and that is Kaki, written by Munshi Premchand, and it is translated by T.C. Ghai. So basically in this particular chapter we will come to know about a story that takes place in our family, but it has its own certain message to us. Okay, what actually we need to do. Okay, there are a lot many characters, but but it is quite obvious that we do take means we need to generate a certain character within us from these characters only, and that is of course we all need to be ladly, right? And if any of us are there like Rupa, then also we need to mold ourselves as Rupa did at the end. So let us many of you will understand my point of view, and those who do not understand, let us go through the story. Let us know this story will definitely come to the same conclusion. So far I believe. So let us start. I know all of you, it's obvious that all of you have kept your textbook ready with you. Please do that and just follow whatever I will be narrating. Old age is similar to childhood in many ways. Yes, when people become old, they become like child. You must have noticed your grandparents. Sometimes it happens. They become like small grandparents. Often they become like small children. Old Kaki was like a child. For the most part of the day, she would lie down, frail and hard of hearing. Frail means a bit weak. Okay. She had lost all her interest in life except her craving for food. Yes, when people become old, they generally a bit they become sometimes they become crazy. They keep on craving for food. So the same thing happened with Kaki. Craving means a long means a desire. So a long desire to have food. Okay. Now she had lost all her interest in life except her craving for food. If she did not get her meal at the appointed time, she would begin wailing. Wailing means crying. Okay, she will shout and she will cry if she doesn't get her food in proper time, like small children do. Kaki had no one except her nephew Buddhiram to depend upon. That means Buddhiram was only there, her nephew, to take care of her, and she was not having any child, and had given him all her property. Since there was no one except Buddhiram, so Kaki gave whatever she had, her property. He in turn had promised to look after her, and Buddhiram was there like a son. He was supposed to take care of Kaki, as Kaki had given all her wealth or whatever she had to Buddhiram. Now let us see what actually happens, what Buddhiram does. Let us see that. Yes, Buddhiram was gentle by nature as long as his pocket remained untouched. Okay, that means Buddhiram was a kind of a person who doesn't want to lose his money over anyone, especially over Kaki. That means he is a greedy person. He he pretends to take responsibility, but actually he doesn't do so. He is a kind of a greedy person. Out of his greed, he somehow used up the whatever property Kaki had, and then he was not willing at all to take care of Kaki or to take her responsibility. He knew that he was able to wear a cloak of responsibility. A cloak of responsibility means to pretend of taking to take care of Kaki. He was uh, rather eager to pretend to take care of Kaki, as he was uh, much interested in her property, only because of the property that Kaki had given him. I hope it's clear now. He sometimes regretted his cruel behavior, but the very thought of incurring any additional expense suppressed his good intentions. Sometimes he feels the pinch of his conscience, but whenever the matter comes of means extra expense for Kaki, that particular time only his realization vanishes. His wife Rupa was sharp tongued, means a lady who uses harsh language, but she was God fearing. Yes, so she was means afraid of God. At least if she commits something wrong, God is there to punish her. She was having this uh, type of thought, at least with her. Bodhiram's sons were also rude to Kaki and teased her for fun. Like their parents, Bodhiram's sons were also the same with Kaki. In the entire family, it was only Budhiram's little daughter, Ladli, who cared for Kaki. So, in that particular family, there were many family members, but only Ladli, the daughter of Budhiram, was means a bit. She at least used to take little care for Kaki. She used to bother for her rather. When her brothers teased her, Ladli ran to Kaki. This meant that she had to give a part of her food to Kaki, but she did not mind. That means she loved Kaki. That's why she was even ready to offer her share of food to Kaki. That it means here we get a hint that the family used to, means the first hint we get about the family, that they never bothered about what Kaki used to eat or what she was to eat or to do actually. Only Ladli was there to share her part to feed Kaki. One evening, the house was filled with the sound of the Shahnai. Budhiram's son Sukram was getting engaged. Women were singing in the house, guests were relaxing and eating to their heart's content. Rupa was busy supervising the preparation of food for the guests. So there was an occasion in the family, and that was Budhiram's son Shukram's engagement. And it was a means everyone was happy over there, and guests were relaxing and they were taking food also. And obviously Rupa was quite busy in looking after all those affairs. Big karais were placed on open air fireplaces. Puris, kachoris and spicy curries were being cooked. The aroma of ghee and spices was in the air. The aroma means the fragrance, the scent. Kaki was sitting in her dark room. So here again we find that the entire, obviously the house was, everyone was happy, so it was filled with light obviously, but Kaki was sitting in her dark room. No one used to bother at all for her except Ladli. The aroma of food made her uneasy. She was wondering whether she would get her share of the puris. She was wondering because she was not allowed to take the amount of food she required. So she was wondering, obviously. It was so late. No one had brought her any food. It seemed to her that everyone had eaten and there was nothing left for her. She wanted to cry, but fearing that this would be inauspicious, she controlled herself. She was about to cry like a child. She was hungry and she was much eager. She was crying. She was longing for food. And when she did not find anyone to call her or to offer her, she felt like crying. But as soon as she felt that, she understood that it would be unlucky for the persons who are about to start their new life, new phase of their life. So as she felt it to be unlucky, so she controlled herself. She felt like weeping, but she did not do so. The fragrance of ghee and spices made her mouth water. If only she could take one puri in her hands to feel it. And see the long how means she was so much hungry and she was really longing for it. She was craving in its true sense. She was longing to feel the food. Okay, we can understand. Just think it and just read the line again and again and just try to feel means how much a person, how much hungry that person can be when the person if means thinks that if I cannot eat, let me at least feel how does the puri feel. Okay. Kaki made up her mind to go and watch the puris being fried. Yes, often small children they do so. They love to watch or to observe how the thing is being made, especially dishes, food items. Crouching on her hand, crouching on her hands and feet means squatting, like depending on her hands and feet. Kaki slowly crossed the threshold and crept close to the karai and sat down. Rupa was almost run off her feet. She was much busy. Now in this room, now in that, now near the cooking area, then in the stove. Means she was roaming around with busyness. She was having certain responsibility. She was running in every direction, getting irritated, exasperated, annoyed, irritated, same thing, yet attending to everything. I mean, she was to take care of everything and she was doing much work. So she was irritated, she was annoyed as well, but she had no option. It was in this state of mind that she saw Kaki sitting beside the karai. She was furious and reprimanded. Means she was furious and she scolded Kaki, the old woman. Shame on you. She shouted at Kaki. Why couldn't you sit in your room? The guests haven't eaten yet. No offering has been made to God and you couldn't wait. Go back to your room. You will eat when the family eats. You are not a goddess who should be fed before all others. Now the author has already explained that the lady was like as it is mentioned already, sharp tongue. Okay, now we get the interview. Okay, we get the view, means the example is set now. Yes, the lady could have been a bit polite. She could have been said the same thing in a different manner, but as she is Rupa and she is having the author has already introduced us about her, so she proved herself. Yes, so she scolded Kaki for sitting over there and she said what not. Okay, so Kaki neither spoke nor cried. Quietly she crept back to her room. She did not speak anything because she had nothing to explain, or rather she was not given any chance to explain anything, and she did not cry because she felt it to be unlucky. The feast was ready. Plates were laid on the floor. The guests began to eat. Kaki sat in her room regretting her hasty behavior. So Kaki did not mind that. That means she was much habituated with that type of behavior. Along with that, she also felt regretted. Means why did I go? Yes, she was quite right. She was not angry with Rupa. How could family members eat before the guests had eaten? She could understand. And again, maybe she felt good as somehow Rupa hinted her at least to be a family member. So she decided that she wouldn't go until she was called. The old woman hummed means she murmured a song, means within herself, as she waited to be called. She thought of all the food awaiting her, all the foods were waiting for her, and felt that she had been singing for too long, and she felt it has been a long time. I am singing over there, I am humming within myself. She couldn't hear a sound. Why had no one called her? Kaki wondered. So Kaki was waiting that someone would definitely come and call her when she is allowed to take her food, but that did not take place. So Kaki was wondering. She stole into the courtyard. The guests were still seated, licking their fingers and enjoying the meal. They were shocked to see the old lady. Budhiram noticed her and became red with embarrassment. She caught hold of Kaki and pulled her back into her gloomy room. There was light everywhere, but Kaki was not allowed. Rather, a gloomy room was her destination. So we can see here the irony of fate. We can understand the lady, she provided her entire property to the man, and then that man only thrust her into the gloomy room. As I was at the very beginning of this text, I was addressing about a certain message that we get from this particular prose. I hope you all can guess that. Yes, as I told you all that we need to follow, means there can be a character within us from this particular character, and that we should be like Ladli, and we should not be like Rupa or Budhiram or anyone. Since we have come to know a little bit about Rupa, and I added that if one Rupa is there within us, let us be molded as she was, the way she transformed her at the end, that also we can be. So let us continue to find out what it actually means. The guests had eaten, the family had eaten, the help had had their meal, but no one thought of Kaki. Only little Ladli felt both sorrow and surprise at her parents' behavior, as I was mentioning. Why hadn't they fed Kaki? Why hadn't Kaki been allowed to eat before the guests had been served? Ladli had hidden her share of puris in a basket for Kaki, as she often does. It was 11 in the night. Rupa was fast asleep in the courtyard. Ladli had been unable to sleep. The basket which hid the puris lay by her side. When she was convinced that her mother was fast asleep, she picked up her basket and walked towards Kaki's room. She was only to feed Kaki. Kaki lay in her room. She realized that everyone had gone to sleep after eating. Her stomach was churning with hunger. Means she was much hungry. She was very, very hungry. Her heart was filled with anguish. All of a sudden, she heard a voice. "Get up, Kaki. I have brought puris for you." Kaki recognized Ladli's voice. She was delighted when Ladli gave her the puris. "Has your mother sent this?" Kaki asked. "No, this is my share." Kaki pounced upon the puris. Pounced means she grabbed them. Okay, she was in such a hurry. She was such hungry that she pounced upon the puris. When Kaki had finished the puris, Ladli asked, "Kaki, have you had your fill? Are you done? Was it enough for you?" Just a light shower often makes the heat worse. Yes, when it's too much sunny, when it's scorching heat. So if light shower is there, means it feels like it's hotter. Means the situation or the environment becomes hotter. So the same thing that becomes something unbearable. The same thing happens. She is so hungry. She was so hungry that a little amount of food, uh, it only just made her hunger a bit more, she became more hungry rather, just by taking a little amount. So that small amount or little amount of food, it made her hunger sharper rather. The few puris had merely whet Kaki's craving. Whet means it made her hunger a bit sharper. Craving, and she said, "No, my daughter, go to your mother and bring some more." Ladly said, "She is asleep. If I wake her, she will be most annoyed." So the girl could also guess how her mother's reaction can be. "Take me to the place where the guests were eating," she told Ladly. Ladly took Kaki by the hand and led her to the dining area. Kaki began to devour the leftovers from the leaf plates laying scattered all over. Really, this is something. This is too much. Okay, so Kaki was so much hungry that she all of a sudden, very hurriedly, she began to eat whatever was there left over. Means people have taken food on those leaves, and those leaf plates were scattered around, and whatever was there she was about to take. Okay, this scenario is not means at all acceptable, but this is reality sometimes. Just then Rupa woke up. She did not find Ladli by her side. She looked round and saw Ladli standing beside the used leaf plates. Then, to her horror, she saw Kaki picking crumbs from the leftovers and eating them. Rupa was stunned and ashamed. When Rupa, at least she felt ashamed. She was stunned. When Rupa noticed such scenario, she was ashamed of herself or the blunder she has done. She began to regret for that. She lifted her hands towards heaven and prayed for mercy. "How cruel I have been! Today was my son's engagement. Hundreds of people feasted, but I could not feed an old, helpless woman." Yes, this self realization was required. It is required for all of us. Rupa lit a lamp and went into her storeroom. She piled a tray with food and took it to Kaki. "Kaki, come and eat," she said to her with tears in her eyes. At least she regretted. The self realization worked, and she regretted for whatever she did. "I have committed a great blunder today. Forgive me." She understood that she committed something too bad. Maybe rather she committed an offense. It was already midnight. The sky was filled with stars. Just as innocent children forget a rebuke after receiving a gift of sweets, Kaki ate, forgetting everything. Yes, so good wishes flowed from Kaki, and Rupa delighted at the sight of her releasing the mill. Yes, so the way Kaki was enjoying the food, it gave comfort to Rupa. As soon as Kaki got the food, like small children, she forgot everything and she began to enjoy the food. So, this is the story. I hope all of you have already gone through it and you all have understood also. So, the strong message the chapter gives to us, I will not utter today. Rather, I want all of you to write that down. Okay, that only you will get in your worksheet today. What did you learn from the chapter, and how do you relate it, if you relate obviously. And this is the thing, this self realization is required for us, for everyone. So this is not merely, as I always tell, that a story is not merely a story, it's something hidden within us, in our life. So let us find out that and let us rectify ourselves. With this message, I hope all of you will go through the chapter once again, learn word meanings and do the worksheet. Thank you. Have a nice day.